Good afternoon to you all, and thank you, Reza, for your introduction. And I'm really pleased to be here. In fact, it's great to just sit down for a few minutes. And when you're campaigning on your feet all day long, let me tell you, it's really bloody hard in heels. But for me, the last 5 years, and I just want to quickly go over what I've seen over the last 5 years of the solar industry during the government I've been a part of. And it's really been a great privilege to be part of a government and work with a minister like Greg Barker, who I think really did ensure that the UK, from a government point of view, was able to understand the real values of the solar industry. And I think we've had, under Greg's leadership within the department, a sensible and intelligent debate around the benefits of solar, but also that solar is a growing, maturing part of the sector, and that therefore it has got greater opportunities to offer outside of the UK. And I'll touch a little bit on Reza's reference to India in a minute. But I do think that going forward, what we have been able to see is that the sector has worked closely with government, and I was listening very carefully to the discussions going on before the tea break, the coffee break, around about government, industry conversations and discussions together. And I think it's really, really crucial. But I also think that it has been a sector that has worked very closely with government, and we've been able to have the difficulties of overcoming some of the challenges that we face in an economy that at the time when we came into government was very much in crisis. But we are now we have turned the corner. We should feel much more confident. The level of investment that has come into the UK has been on the back of certainty that the economy is open to business, and that the environment in which investment can take place is a much more certain place. And that's why, I'm really confident that the sector itself is going to be a real big part of the next government's mandate to go forward with the renewable sector, whoever that government happens to be. Of course, I would very much like to be standing here in front of you and back again as a minister, but the British public will decide next week. But I do think that it is really incumbent upon any party to understand that if we are going to have a sector that is strong, the economy has got to be at the forefront of it, and it has to be a strong economy. And somebody talked about skills, and it's interesting because the more the sector grows, the more there is a need for a skills base to grow with it. And that's why I've been really pleased when I've gone around and seen some of the apprenticeship programs of young people wanting to come in and do work within the sector, because it shows that they have an interest and a level of confidence that they're going to have jobs for a long term too. So I think there is a growing environment around the energy sector, particularly around the new renewables, where we can see that people are beginning to understand that this is becoming a normalised part of everyday life in the UK. However, it's all at risk if we don't understand that all of us, when we look at growth, that we factor in that it's not just about an inward look at where we grow, but actually how we reach outwards. And Reza and I have worked closely together on a number of countries, but I took a trade mission to India, which is one of the largest growing economies in the world. And, the marketplace of 1.3 billion people is a lot of people. But what was interesting was that Prime Minister Modi had made it very clear that he wanted to see around 170 gigawatts of power from solar. Now, 170 gigawatts is a great marketplace for us to be part of. And so I've been very closely involved with talking to a number of states, and we visited 3 states that have excellent sun radiation, amongst the best, I think, in India, Rajasthan being one of them. And our conversation started not from how much can we provide you through giving you panels, but actually, what are your transmission grids like? Do you actually have the facility to take on the extra load that will come from having all of this extra supply? And the starting point was that, because there was no point in us getting excited unless we knew that delivery could be transmitted across the state. And, you know, Uttar Pradesh is 210 million people. If it was a country, it'd be the 5th largest in the world. And the Chief Minister said, but we need all of this extra power. And I said, but you need to first and foremost provide me with a basic working plan of where you think all this extra load is going to be carried through. But don't fear, because we in the UK have expertise, not just in panels, but actually from the grid all the way through to manufacture, to being able to show you what would best suit you. And so the states have actually understood that the investment opportunities are even much bigger than they had first envisaged, because all they thought about was the megawatts that they needed in their states. And interestingly enough, the states have all been mandated to have a part of their energy supply as coming from solar. So I sat down with Reza and a number of people from PBVA and said to them, look, what we need to do is to make sure that the UK business market is at the forefront of being partners of choice. So we need to know what it is that we can offer, what it is that our offering initially is to countries like India. But then I went to Central Europe, and the Bulgarians said, we're interested in what you're doing. How can you help us diversify? Because current events, recent events from, as we all know, from Russia, have made Central Europe sit up and think that their dependency on single source power is at their detriment. So there's a lot of interest looking our way. And as a sector, I think we have got to be confident enough to say we are now in the position to go out there, reach out and deliver. And by being a confident marketplace and deliverer, we're able to recognise that we ourselves need to develop our own marketplace through the skills, the expertise, through innovation, and all the other things that come with it. But we have seen, and this is what I was able to say to the Indians, solar when it started was at one cost, but we have seen it drop dramatically as it's matured. And it's shown that actually the sector has grown stronger and bigger with it. And I think that we can see that if we have strong frameworks in place, if we work very, I think I'm moving your thing around here, if we work with strength and strong dialogue between government and industry and all the associated businesses that go with the industry, then actually we can deliver a very much a confident sector. So I am hoping that, particularly following through the work I've done with Reza and his team, and I have visited an awful lot of sites and talked to companies, and what they've all said is, every single company I have spoken to has said all they want is certainty for investment. And what we've got to do, whichever party is in power, is to be able to ensure that we work to frameworks that deliver continued certainty. Because having had 45 billion plus investment come into the renewable sector since 2010 demonstrates that there is a real confidence in the UK. We mustn't lose that confidence. It's built on the fact that we've now seen jobs grow in the green sector. And in fact, when people and they come from across the parties, say, oh, you know, we're spending far too much money supporting the green economy. Actually, what we've managed to do is not only show that the green economy develops jobs and strengthens the economy, but it also innovates other industries as well. So I think there's a lot going on, and we have got to be able to take that progress forward. I did say to Reza, when we had a chat a couple of days ago, when I needed to have another break from campaigning, was that one of my biggest fears is the debate shouldn't take a skewed a look from people who have decided that the sector itself is so dependent on support, because the sector, in my view, has really shown that it has outpaced expectations by being able to develop on its own and grow outwards. And Greg Barker, I think, has been fundamental in ensuring that the position of solar has been out there as a real beacon of the renewable sector, working very closely. And I know that both he and I are passionate that this sector does grow stronger. But I really, really want to encourage you all to look at the global marketplace as a real entry point for all of us to be able to go out and reach. And I want the sector to come with me when I'm looking at UKTI missions delegations to go abroad, and take many more companies with me. The last visit, we were able to sign a number of MOUs, and a number of MOUs is fine. They are bits of paper, but what they allow us to do is just demonstrate that by working through, we can actually get some real traction in countries that are really beginning to look for major growth. And that's where the development of our sector, of the solar sector, needs to be heading. So I know you've got a very important session coming up. It's probably the one I've just accidentally pressed on here. But thank you very much. I just wanted to come down today because I said to Reza, when he told me about this conference, it's really important that you get that there are people that were in the last government, the government that is just about to find out if it's going to be in government again or not. But there are people who are really, really determined to see the renewable sector grow from strength to strength. We need your input, your support, your discussions with us to make sure that going forward that we have the right frameworks. But it can only be done if we have a safe, secure, strong economy with jobs guaranteed for people coming into the sector. And that's where we, of course, will need all of you to work very closely with any new incoming government. Thank you very much indeed.